Hello YouTube and welcome back. Today I just installed this smoke/heat detector in my garage and I want to show you the process of installing this. Recently my microwave caught on fire. I'm not joking, my microwave caught on fire. It was on this bench right here, and basically what happened was I had it plugged in and this one was in the house, but it started malfunctioning, so I took it out here to see if I could fix it. And as soon as I turned it on, massive amounts of smoke started coming out from the electronics, and there was a very burnt plastic smell, so something's wrong internally. But the part that concerned me was it released a really nasty black cloud of smoke into the air, and the whole garage was almost filled, and you could see the haze. And that got me thinking, what if there was actually a fire in here and it started releasing a ton of smoke and nobody knew about it? I mean, I have these heat alarms in the garage. I installed these a couple years ago, and these are just tied into the fire or smoke alarms in the house. But they're residential smoke alarms. They don't really do anything. All they do is beep. And I guess that'll alert you to a fire, but it won't tell you where the fire is at all. All it'll do is just beep. And I want something that's actually tied into this fire alarm system that'll tell me exactly where the fire is. And obviously I have a zone in the garage already because I have this pull station. So I thought it would make sense to put a smoke detector in the garage. Now, technically you're not supposed to put smoke detectors in the garage because there's a lot of things in here that'll set a smoke detector off. Maybe dust in the air, bugs. If the temperature changes too much, it'll set these off apparently. But so far I haven't had any issues with it. A while ago I actually did have a smoke detector here before I was able to get a hold of these heat alarms, and I never had an issue with it. But we'll see how this goes, and let's go ahead and see how we install these. I actually have a bunch of EMT. Most of this is really straight and in perfect condition. I actually found all this for free in a dumpster when they were renovating a building down the street, but you can see they just tossed it. And with the exception of a few that have some bends at the ends, pretty much all of this is usable, so we're going to use it today. So I've gone ahead and removed the devices from the wall. You can see it's now just down to the EMT and boxes. And now we're going to just start taking off these boxes. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually going to be replacing this single gang box here. Even though most pull stations mount on a single gang box, this is just way too small to accommodate a lot of them. Because, you know, even for pull stations that fit, just the fact that there's all this wire and stuff in the box, and then of course there's one feeding through, and the fact we're adding an additional wire coming in because it's going to have to go up to the detector, it's just going to be really annoying to fit stuff in this small box. And even just with this one wire consistently, it's just annoying. So what I'm going to do is put a 4x4 box here with a mud ring. So here's the new 4x4 box I'm using. You can see this one's actually not brand new. I actually have a punch out already used in the bottom, but I just put a knockout filler in there. You know, reduce, reuse, save money. But anyways, we're gonna have to punch out this knockout at the top, which I'll have this facing the top so it looks like none of the other knockouts are out. But go ahead and punch this thing out. Just do this with a screwdriver. Nice and easy, and then you can just bend it back and forth until it comes out. So I have this conduit clamp. By the way, I also found these conduit fittings in the same garbage or dumpster that I found all the conduit in. This is a couple years back when they were renovating this building near me, and I literally saved everything I found, including boxes. Like, I'm pretty sure this box might be from there too. Conduit fittings, conduit, literally everything. And it's just really nice to have like a supply of just stuff, because you never know when certain things, like for example, these conduit fittings might come in handy for a project. So kind of do that until it's lined up. You can see how this is going to work. So you put this mud ring on the top, and once you put the mud ring there, you have a lot more space in the box because it's obviously a 4x4. Maybe it actually would have made sense to put the conduit fittings here, so that way the wires would come in here, but either way it doesn't matter. All right, so obviously the 4x4 box has different holes than the single gang box, so I hate to do more damage to the wall, but it really doesn't matter because we're in the garage. So we're just going to drill these holes here. You can see I already had some holes in the wall. Basically what I did is I put the box over here, and then I just sent in 2 drywall screws in hopes that there might be a stud here, but obviously there wasn't, so we had to just put in the anchors. That's fine though, but now what we do is take these blue ribbed anchors, is what they call them, and then you just kind of pound them in. Now that we've put our box on, we can just send in a couple screws into those anchors. And then once you put screws into the anchors, in the back behind the wall, where I obviously don't have a camera, the anchor will split and then it'll really grip onto that drywall. So you get a really nice hold, certainly enough for this application. Then we can also go ahead and tighten down this set screw. All right, it's not really a set screw, but it's just a screw that holds down this EMT inside of the clamp, like so. And yeah. So now I've put up my conduit here, and now I have to knock out this knockout right here. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And then now you kind of just bend it back and forth with your fingers until it comes out. Or if you have pliers, it'd be easier. Now it's time to bend some conduit. I know conduit can be intimidating because you have to do a little bit of math and a little bit of thinking, but honestly, it's not too bad once you know how to do it. So I'll just briefly explain how to do it. So obviously we know the distance from the box to the ceiling, and that's how much clearance there has to be. So the conduit goes up and then it's gonna go this way. So we gotta do a 90-degree bend. But you also have to understand that, for example, here's a 90-degree bend right here. I know this is nasty, just ignore it. But the distance from the ceiling, which is going to be here, to the box, which is going to be, let's say here is the part that's going to be 33¼ inches. That doesn't mean that where you bend it or where you line it up with the arrow on the bender is going to be 33¼ So you can see here the bend here takes up some space. So basically it's just something you know. From the ceiling here to the end of the bend, or where the line on your bender goes up to, it's going to be 5 inches for ½ inch EMT, which is what we're using. For 3/4 inch EMT like this, it's going to be 6 inches. I know that this is a pretty bad explanation, but I'm kind of standing like this right now. So, but I hope you get the idea a little bit. So I'll show you how I do it. So here I haven't done any offset bends, which an offset bend is just a bend that makes the conduit flush with the wall when it comes out of a knockout. So obviously the knockout holes, as you can see, are like 3/8 of an inch away from the wall, and an offset bend will just offset that and basically curve the conduit towards the wall and make it so it's flush. In this case, I didn't do it like I said, but since I'm doing this and I have to do a 90, I would want the conduit flush against the wall. I've already picked a piece of pipe that has an offset bend in it. You can see here, there's an offset bend. So all I have to do is just measure from the end there. There is a little bit of a thing called shrink factor, which briefly, it's when you do an offset bend, compared to straight pipe, you do lose a little bit. In this case, it's really honestly negligible. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start bending, and then hopefully it fits. It's better to go a little bit longer, because in the event that it's too long, you can always cut it off, but you don't wanna go too short. So here you can see I've made my mark 28¼ inches from the end here. Which is, 33½ minus 5. So you line that up and then you can bend it. We're going to do a 90-degree bend, obviously. If you want, you can do this on the ground. It's actually a lot easier for especially the thicker pipes. Or you could do it in the air like this, because it's just ½ inch EMT. You can easily do it with your hands, but up to you. So there you go. I just kind of bent it with my hands until it got to about the 90 mark, and then just let go. And then now you can see we have ourselves a bent piece of EMT. Check this out. You can see we have our 90-degree bend. That's the mark we made. And then we have our offset down there. I mean, that wasn't so hard, was it? The hardest part about EMT, honestly, is just the cost of the stuff. I mean, this bender here actually was pretty cheap. I got it for like $21 off the Lowe's website. But most of the time, EMT equipment is really expensive. Here's the moment of truth. I fed the EMT through this slot in the pipes, and we'll line it up with the ceiling like that. And look at that. Pretty much perfect. Once you put the conduit fitting there, that'll fit just fine. So we can put our smoke detector or heat detector somewhere right there. So there we go. You can see that's our pipe installed. It's probably, or not probably, it is a good idea to install a conduit clamp just to hold that EMT to the wall, because you can see right now it's kind of just floating there. Obviously there are codes that say when you have to use clamps, like a certain distance from boxes and stuff like that. In this case, it's just a low voltage system that's not even required. It's a demo system. So we're really just going for practicality here, but you can see the box, or the conduit's just kind of floating here. So you definitely want it, but you can see there's the offset. So that's kind of how an offset bend works. All right, so now at this point, it's time to run the wire up the conduit. So I already fed the wire to the notification appliance. Now it's time to feed this. I'm just using 2-conductor 18-gauge fire alarm wire. So it's a little tedious, especially when you already have these fittings in place, but you just kind of push it up. It's not too bad because it's really small wire, but it just takes a little bit of patience sometimes. So now I got the wire up to the second box, so now we're going to continue feeding it through. This is probably the part where it's going to be a little difficult because there's this elbow here, but just again, be patient. There it is. I'm gonna fasten the EMT right here. I put another anchor in the wall. Code states that EMT must be fastened within 3 feet of all boxes. So this is definitely within 3 feet. So all I have to do is use my impact driver, tighten this down a little. So again, here it is, goes up from here. And then here's so as you can see, this conduit run ends here, but I'm adding on a little bit here. This is actually where the offset bend is, because this piece was like this when I found it, and it already had an offset bend in it. So I was like, that's great. And then also it extends it from the wall a little bit. So this is where the smoke detector will be. There we go, that's our box. So now we can pick a automatic detector to go up here and then reinstall all of our devices. This is what I'm putting up here. This is a System Sensor 2400TH thermal / smoke detector. So this is a heat detector up here and also a smoke detector. Maybe not the best idea to put a smoke detector out in the garage, because you can see there's literally machines over here that produce dust. There's temperature changes, but we'll see. Honestly, I don't really care about this detector that much because I already have a duplicate of this, and this one's kind of yellowed. It's kind of dirty already, so if it gets dirty or something, then that's fine. But we'll see. Maybe it'll cause a false alarm, maybe it won't. There it is. That is our smoke detector up there. Again, maybe not the best idea to put a smoke detector up here in a garage, but we'll see. Last time I had a smoke detector was when I had to replace a heat alarm up here, and I didn't have a heat alarm, so I put a smoke alarm here, and honestly, nothing happened. It didn't false alarm at all, so maybe this one will be like that. But either way, I guess this adds a little bit of protection, although I guess it's a little redundant, but hey, that's always helpful. Here's how it looks from far away. You can see our detector up there is blinking and operational. That's our conduit working. Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.